Hello and welcome to this week's Copic tutorial. Today we're going to be covering Copic basics, the basics of Copics. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the type of ink and the type of paper that I use. I am currently using the Memento line from Tuskegee. I like to use Tuxedo Black, and there's also a nice brown. The reason I like it is it's a fade-resistant dye ink. It's almost permanent when dry, and I just really like how detailed my images can come out with this, as opposed to the Adirondack, which I sometimes found to not come out quite as clear, especially with clear stamps, and I love clear and acrylic stamps. I also use Georgia Pacific paper. It comes from Walmart. You can get, I think, 150 pieces for like $5 or something totally negligible. It's definitely my favorite by far. The next thing I want to talk to you about is colors. A lot of people ask me what colors I use, how I pick my colors. The truth is, I pick them by trial and error. I bring myself, when I go to shop for them, I bring a piece of Georgia Pacific paper that has all of the colors that I already have, and I just scribble a little piece, a little sample of it, and if I don't have anything quite so similar to it, then I'll most likely buy it. Once I pick that initial color in a color family, I try to deviate from it about 2 or 3 letters, 2 or 3 numbers in the second number. So for instance, in these V's, I have V01, V04, V06, and V09. Now let me explain to you what the different letters mean. V is the color family. V stands for violet. There's B, G, Y, E, there's a ton. And then the O, the first letter, stands for its saturation, basically how vibrant the color is. So these zeros have it a really big vibrancy. But if it was V9, it would be a lot grayer in color, or more dull. For instance, I have, this is G99, and if you can see, it's not a bright green, it's a dull green, and that has to do with the numbering. Now the second number, as you can see, I have a 1, a 4, a 6, and a 9 in the same color group, and that basically means how bright the actual color is. So for instance, B01 is a really, really light color, as you can see. It's a really good highlighting color, but it's not a very bright color. V04 is more of a mid-tone. V06 is pretty strong until you see how strong V09 is. That is a deep, deep color. And that's basically all you need to know to pick out some colors. I would suggest to get maybe 1 or 2 colors in all of the shades. I hope to have a new blog post about what my absolute favorite colors are. But it's mostly trial and error and personal, what you like yourself. So I'm just going to quickly go over some basic shading techniques with this little dragonfly that I stamped. The dragonfly is from Magenta. I love Magenta stamps because they get these really nice, thick pieces of wood. And then I'm also going to stamp for you one of the Little Paper Shop sets. Little Paper Shop is a wonderful company. Okay. So really quickly, we're going to do these 2 images. The second one is from Little Paper Shop. It's just some basic leaves. Okay, so first we're going to start with our purples, and I like to do my mid-tone first. I use Copic sketch markers, but depending on the type you use, depends on the shapes of the brushes. A Copic sketch has a chisel, which will make a fine tip, as well as a brush, which works like a paintbrush. Okay, so I tend to use the paintbrush, and I'm going to start just by making small circles. By making small circles, I am able to have a lot of control over the brush, as well as I'm able to keep my saturation even. Copic markers, the color that they give can really depend on their saturation. Saturation is basically how much of the marker's ink you're putting on the paper. And to check your marker's ink, you can see the back. If the back is really solid, then you're at a full saturation. If it's not, then you might want to keep going. Then I'm going to start with my second tone, which is the VO6. And I am just going to use a light line to accent the color. Notice that I'm not using too much. And this is just giving it a little shadow. And again, this is just my personal way of doing it. Everybody is different. And then to do some more highlighting, I use my VO1, which if you remember is the lightest color. And this time I'm going to just put it where the sun would hit, which would be the bottom of my... And now I'm going to do his little tail, and that is going to be just a solid green. Okay. Okay, easy enough. And then if I wanted to do some additional highlighting, I might use my lightest color sort of outside the lines. My lightest color, again, is the VO1. It's just a highlighter and nothing really more. Okay, so now we're going to just quickly do these leaves. These leaves are from Little Paper Shop. It's from the Jungle Fever set. Not Jungle Fever, I believe it's Jungle Fever. You'll see it at the bottom of the screen. Okay, and I'm going to start by using YGOO. So for this particular one, I'm using a lighter first coat. And I'm just using lines because circles, it would be too thick. Now I'm going to use YG13. Now if you notice, they're not one after each other. It's not YOO and then YG05. And that is basically because it doesn't always need to be. You can get more two-tone for kind of a funkier effect. So I'm just kind of putting little flicks at the bottom. And again, for something so thin, the little flicks really work. And then just at the bottom, I'm using G99, which is a solid green as opposed to a yellow green, which would be a little bit lighter. And I'm just going to put some tiny little lines at the bottom just to add some depth. And here you go. I hope that you learned a lot. Please look for my other tutorials. They're a little more advanced. But I hope that this gave you the Copic basics, and I hope that you enjoyed. See you later.